Aloha everyone, and welcome to Language of the Soul Astrology Talk Radio. Here we are again. It's Monday, March 22nd, 2021, and I'm your host, Ora'lea Starr. We have an exciting show today. I have a good friend of mine here and my hairdresser. He's also multi-talented and does Chinese astrology and tarot and all kinds of things, but we'll bring him into the show in about 20 minutes. His name is Ben Schultz. I'm super excited to have him here today. I also want to just get started with a word from our sponsor today, Maui Healing Retreat. Thank you so much to Janet Baldwin at Maui Healing Retreat. Maui Healing Retreat offers one-on-one personal and private coaching sessions to help you gain clarity and to supply you with new information on how to live your best life. And I feel like these days, especially, everyone could definitely use a little help from time to time. So whether you need one-on-one counseling, couples counseling, or some shamanic healing, I know that they've got some great shamanic healers. Maui Healing Retreat has you covered. And you can also ask about their Kama Aina pricing. Maui Healing Retreat loves working with island Kama Aina. And so you can contact Maui Healing Retreat at 808-870-3711. Or you can visit their website at mauihealingretreat.com. So thank you again to Janet at mauihealingretreat.com. We appreciate you. There's a lot going on astrologically this week, and shortly I will get into the astrological forecast for the week. But before then, as some of you know, I like to begin each show with a poem. And in honor of this full moon in Libra, which is about balance, I chose a poem called In Symbiotic Balance by Jenna Logan. So here we go, In Symbiotic Balance. In portals of my mind, I'm searching for peace and harmony, thus far kept clandestine, secreted behind locked doors. Once undisguised, I'll be allowed some semblance of balance in my life, to embrace every mountain peak I climb. How I yearn to be free of life's struggles, symmetry between body and heart, without boundaries or fences, to besmirch my true visions. They need to coexist in symbiotic tranquility, placid and always calm. I feel like this is going to be the theme of the week, everyone. In Symbiotic Balance was the name of that poem by Jenna Logan. And so let's talk about some of the astrological highlights for this week. And again, I want to make an announcement first. I want to remind people that I do have a contest going right now to give away a free 60-minute relationship reading, also in honor of Libra and relationships. And in order to be considered for that reading, all you have to do is go onto my YouTube page. And you can go to youtube.com and type in Ora'lea Starr Astrology. And all you really need to do is hit the subscribe button. And you will automatically, your name will go onto a piece of paper and a hat. And on April 8th, I think it's April 4th, I'll be drawing to give away that free reading. So again, you just go to my YouTube page or go to youtube.com, click Ora'lea Starr Astrology, and hit the subscribe button. Looking super forward to giving that reading away. That's going to be fun. So let's talk about the astrological highlights of the week. Today is Monday, and the moon is in Cancer, and it's sensitive and emotional. And we're just coming off of the spring equinox, and we have the Sun and Venus that just moved into Aries. But I want to remind everybody that, just like springtime, just like those seeds that are emerging from the ground, they don't just pop up out of the ground and then all of a sudden there's a flowering tree or a flowering bush. Like, it's emerging, it's growing, it's coming up. And so So we're coming out of this Pisces time, but not all the way, because Mercury is still in Pisces. And Mercury, symbolic of our mind and our thinking in Pisces, is like, I personally have been pretty confused since Mercury went into Pisces. A lot of things are just not making the same sense to me. And so, but yet we've got this Aries warrior energy, where we want to kind of trudge forward and make our dreams come true, make our dreams a reality. But today we're in this emotional, sensitive Cancer, and the beginning part of the week we have a lot of challenges to our emotional stability, a lot of connections to the planet Pluto, where there's 1111 again. Not even going to go into it. It's to me, I see it every single week like clockwork, and it reminds me that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be and doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing at the moment, which is a huge confirmation, especially in these somewhat confusing and murky times when life can really feel like a roller coaster for a lot of us, where it's like, we keep finding what looks like an oasis that only eventually turns out to be a mirage, and it's very hard to find something that we can solidly hang our hats on these days. So we definitely want to tune into our intuition, and as the week progresses and we start hitting some of these Pluto squares, what is Pluto about? Pluto really represents truth, and everybody has a different truth. Pluto is about our soul's destiny and our soul's intent, and it wants us to be true to that, and when we're not, the energies can be pretty ruthless, and so we may experience that ruthlessness in what seems like it's coming through from other people, with a lot of power struggles. Ultimately, Pluto will have the final say. It's not for me to determine whether or not somebody else is in their truth. I can only tune in to know if I'm in mine. And sometimes I'm not always so sure, especially with Mercury in Pisces. It's about getting quiet and really tuning in to those more ethereal energies and taking some time to be quiet and to sink into a state of meditation. Astrology is another great tool. If you know your astrology chart and you see what kind of energies are in play and what their timelines are like, it really helps to navigate some of these intrepid waters that so many people I know are in. I mean, our sense of security is still being rocked with this Uranus-Saturn square, but let's really, I want to make sure that I have plenty of time to incorporate my friend Benj today sitting next to me, because I have a feeling that we're going to have some great conversation, and I'm leaning more towards being able to have people on the show where we can have some great conversation. It just seems more natural to me than giving these canned astrological forecasts, which are abundant no matter whether you go online or they're everywhere. So really, to me, this week is about getting into our truth. We have Mercury, this planet that represents our mind in Pisces, and it's challenging our past beliefs and our destiny and how we incorporate new information, how we share our energy with others, how we network. And so there could be some big squabbles going on this week, and maybe some almost like a Mercury retrograde that feels really personal with Pluto involved. So people could have some motivations that aren't always so, like, I think of Pluto and the Plutonian powers as like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. And I know in my own personal life, which I try to leave out most of the time, I feel like I've been in a Plutonian kind of battle. And with the sun in Aries, and I know Benj is going to have something to say about this later with the year of the ox and how it's contradictory, but I personally have my Venus in Aries, and I have my Venus return today, and I do feel something like the warrior with my warrior gear on, riding the horse with my sword in hand, and I'm coming, because there are a lot of Plutonian forces at hand of power struggles for me in my personal life right now. And so if you think about Aries and you think about the energy of Aries, yes, it's the pioneer, the warrior, the daredevil, and it's ruled by Mars, so it can be impulsive and hasty and angry. But it's also about tuning into our desires and what we want and how we move forward. And so it's about courage and taking direct action. But when you think about that warrior donned in the battle gear, do you think that warrior doesn't have fear? I can guarantee when you're on the front lines, there's some fear, but the will to survive. Aries ruled by Mars is this will to survive. It is that sheer will that pushes us forward. And so we're in those times right now, and life can feel something like a battlefield. And so then, by Sunday, we reach this full moon in Libra. And I'm skipping through a lot of things this week. I'm kind of skipping from the beginning of the week to the full moon in Libra. So if you want to know all of the things that are happening in between, you can friend me on Facebook. You can go onto Facebook and type in Ora'lea Starr Astrology, and that'll link you to a daily blog that gives more detailed information about what's going on. But I want to talk about how we balance this warrior energy that's just going to keep emerging stronger and stronger and stronger. So the opposite to that is Libra. And so this full moon in Libra, the full moon is really the moon and the sun opposite each other in the sky. And so you think of that seesaw, and you think about Libra, which is the only zodiac sign that is not represented by something animated. It's represented by the scales. And so this is about balancing the scales of Aries, me, my desires. I'm moving forward, and I've got my sword in hand, and heads are going to roll. That's Aries. And then we have Libra, which says, but it's really about the we. It's about cooperation and peace and calm and balance, and how do we together. So you have the I and you have the together, and so we're balancing that. We need each other, and so some people are going to be more focused on the Aries side and carrying the sword and pushing their agenda, and then maybe on the Libra side there's too much people pleasing and passive aggressive and not stating our needs and just trying to keep the peace. So this full moon is about coming into balance and in between, and incorporating both sides. So it's interesting that this full moon in Libra is in opposition to Chiron, the wounded healer. And obviously it's in opposition to the sun and opposition to Venus. So it's kind of shining some light in some of the darker corners of our wounds. And with the moon in Cancer today, we may be really tuned into that sense of rejection, sense of abandonment, sense of not being enough, and feeling emotional about it. And that energy is just going to intensify through the week with this opposition to Chiron. And so to me, it's how do we want to present ourselves? Do we want to, do maybe what we've always done, or what's easiest when we're triggered, which is to be our wounds and to be the victim, or do we find a way to heal and rise above adversity and tune into the gifts that we've learned along the way? I think of Chiron as the gateway to Pluto being our ultimate destiny and our ultimate truth of our soul's path. And we can't really step into that when we're stuck in the lower Chiron energies of being the victim and feeling wounded and insecure. So it's time of how do we really step into our gifts? How do we step into our what do we value with Venus there? What do we value? Who are our friends? Who are the people we can count on? Who are the people that can count on us? How do we balance that give and take in our relationships with other people? That's what this is really about. And yes, the planets and the moon are going to be jerking us up and down all week. And when I sat down yesterday to want to write this out in a detailed way, I just couldn't even bring myself to it. I thought, what am I going to tell everybody, how we're going to be getting jerked around every time the moon makes another harsh connection to another planet? Because really, ultimately, that's life. And life is like this wave, and it's sometimes it's peaceful and calm and serene, and other times there's like this tidal wave rushing towards us, and that's just life. And Pluto, which is symbolic of powerful forces beyond our control, is a major player this week. And so, to me, it's about just finding that Libra, finding that Venus energy, that sense of calm and inner peace and serenity, even while the storm is happening all around us. And we all do that in different ways. And so with that, I think I might like to bring Benj in. He's been listening. I'm going to move a little closer so we can both get in. Benj, what do you think about all that? I'm sure you have plenty to add. By the way, this is Benj Holtz. He's not only amazingly talented, he's my hairdresser. I wish I would have done something more with my hair today, but
you look gorgeous.
Oh, thank
you. Bodacious.
So yeah. So anyway, what can you add to that?
Well, I really like how you lined that up. And as far as my visit here today, it kind of coincides with that full moon in Libra. So one thing that we're going to see a lot this year, especially in Chinese zodiac with the ox, is our foundations get tested, it's a good hard work and cleanup year, and the ox really wants to help. He's a traditional man. He wants to hear what it is that we really need, and he's going to help out. So the thing is we got to get really clear about what that is.
Venus values.
Right. Yeah. And so ox being more of an earth element naturally, this year we come into the metal ox. And so with the metal, it's very Aquarian. It can be like the psychoanalyst. It understands emotion, but it itself is not very emotional. It wants to cut the bull crap, and it wants to just, figure out what's really going on so that it can make it better. So that we don't have these emotional uproars, so that we can get to the truth of the matter. And so now with the spring equinox and us starting to feel that new energy, it's time to get real. It's time to express what it is that we need so that we can achieve that in this lifetime. And in this, in Chinese zodiac, it's 12 years. And so right now we're in the second year. The rat kicks it off in the first year. So now we're really in that foundational space, kind of that toddler energy of okay, it's real. We're here. Now how are we going to make it better? How can we really create this foundational structure to reside upon for the next 10 years?
And Benj, not to interrupt your flow, but wouldn't the ox kind of coincide with the Taurus energy? And then it's kind of the second year, which, is the house, the second house in astrology ruled by Taurus, where we are still like the toddler and we're establishing what's mine.
Yeah.
And
so you would think,
and
but
our values.
The ox is actually Capricorn, so it's more Saturn. It's the father figure. So then, it is Earth based.
Right.
But Taurus energy, they like a good saucy joke, whereas Capricorn and ox, they may chuckle a little bit,
but they're pretty stoic.
Yeah, they're more stoic. They're a little more okay,
business-like.
I get you. Yeah, and they're kind of managing, observing, kind of figuring it all out. And they love good music and they love a good debate and a good banter, but they're not really here to just joke around most of the time. Whereas Taurus, even though they're very earthen, they can still like giggle and chuckle. You know, they like a good joke. But
Right.
they too have like more of a cleaner palate when it comes to
Okay,
talking.
so the ox is more Saturnian, more
Yep.
serious,
Yeah.
and
Yep. It's like the
let's
emperor
roll up
in
our
Tarot.
sleeves and
Yeah.
plan our work and work our plan.
Yep. And it can also have ties not only with the emperor but also with the devil, because
Interesting.
in this year we will be tempted to kind of fall off of that podium or that foundational space that we've received. You know, so like say last year in the rat year we kind of we want to start doing things behind the scenes or figuring out what it is that we really want to happen. And there will be some luck and some fortune coming forward, but what we do with that luck and that fortune, even through the demise of what we all kind of went through last year, when the ox begins in this year, you'll really start to feel whether what you kind of saved up, what you used your money on, what you used your resources with, that starts to get tested, and we can kind of come up against a little hurdle, because is that really what we want in this like new life? Or, you know, so where you get that confusion too that you're talking about.
I was just going to talk about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's very, you know, especially in Pisces in this time, but I'm seeing so much beauty in that chaos and in that confusion,
Right.
because you're figuring it out, and you may be whining. You know, the ox doesn't necessarily enjoy people who whine or complain too much. This is a great time to really focus on how to make things better. And so if you have something going on, just say it, you know, like let's
Right.
get to the point so we can get past it. And so one thing I also wanted to note, because I think we're going to be coming up against time
Sure.
soon.
We've got about maybe 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay. But just to give everyone a heads up, some promotional energy to kind of help with the metal element in this year ahead, and hanging out with the ox is she had made a comment about, you know, that Aryan warrior and like kind of like feeling like ready to do stuff, you know, and that's all promoted, but as far as colors that kind of like soften and represent and can kind of like soften the tongue in this year ahead so that the ox can be a little more understanding or not just like so cutthroat, would be to wear your violets, your blues, your aquas, not so much blue as aqua, as if we imagine aqua, it has yellow in it, which is intelligent. It understands,
Which goes with that North Node in Gemini
joyful.
and taking in the air energy,
Yep,
the
exactly.
air element and new information.
Totally. And so representing yourself with like metals, precious metals, golds, coppers, silvers, and then, you know, wearing your earth-based elements like your animal prints.
And what about crystals and gems? Do you know?
So,
like I've got amber on today. Isn't that
yep,
kind of like a balancing?
Yep. And since we're in a earthy element year as far as Chinese zodiac goes, even though it's metal is made from the earth.
Right.
So having earth-made minerals and then precious metals, those things are very promotional for this year.
Interesting.
And so, yeah, using your ambers, garnets are a big one for
garnets.
ox. Yeah. So, yeah, that was one thing I just wanted to make sure, just for everybody. Like,
yeah, I was thinking about that too, because I mentioned to Benj this morning, like, I wanted to wear red today. I've been thinking about wearing red all week, because I am definitely in warrior mode, people. And so I'm going to have to come into some balance this week with that. But you were telling me how red can actually
provoke the ox.
Right.
So, especially being in a metal energy, fire it burns metal, like it melts it down. And so when you wear red, especially for the ox as well, it kind of provokes it and says like, oh, you're ready for this debate. Oh, you're ready to hear everything, and like, you know, don't be so arrogant. So along with the full moon in Libra to kick this year off,
Plutonian power struggle.
It's like,
energy.
Be humble, you know, understand the we, not so much the I, and you'll go really far in this year, because the ox also, it loves a team player. It loves people that want to like get together and really like clean things up.
And it's about integrity too, right? Like if I think about
sure.
if I think about Capricorn and the Saturnian as going with the ox, I think integrity,
absolutely.
reality, you know, it's accomplishment achieved through patience and perseverance over the long haul, but leaving no stone unturned and doing things the right way, even if it seems a little
slow and
stuffy and traditional and
absolutely.
Right?
Totally.
But then we have all this Aquarian energy with Saturn in Aquarius saying, but it's also, we've got to bring that out of the box. Like incorporate the tradition, but bring it out of the box. And then that South Node in Sagittarius is asking us to really examine our belief systems and make sure that they are in line with our current, values and goals and
morals and ethics.
And the one last thing I would want to add to that is that everything you said was so perfect about the humility but I think about Mercury and Pisces, and I also think about compassion, because in my personal life I'm in some pretty big things that are happening with other people who are trying to force some power. I'm not going to go into it. I usually don't go into personal things, but I would rather say, why can't we just be motivated to cooperate, which is about Mars and Libra. Mars is motivate and Libra is cooperation. But not everybody's motivated to cooperate, and we can't really understand always the motivations of other people or what they're going through or where they started. Are they acting out their wound? So to me, I think of compassion, especially with the moon in Cancer today, and going along with what you said, just compassion doesn't mean that we allow people to step all over us.
Right, hold your space.
But, we can still hold it from a place of loving compassion and not understanding what it's like to walk a mile in someone else's shoes or for them to walk a mile in yours.
Yeah, beautiful.
So, I'm looking at the time and it's 11:32, and so let me just remind everyone that Benj and I are going to take callers and do some readings. Yay! And if you want a reading, you can call into 808-242-7800. Again, we would love to hear from some people. We're gonna put the Western astrology and Chinese astrology together to try to give you a little 5 or 6 minute snippet of how to move forward or whether you're in the groove. Again, at 808-242-7800. If you want to connect with me, you can connect. My website is Ora'lea StarrAstrology.com. That's ORALEA Starr with 2 R's Astrology.com. If you want a personal reading from me, you can call 808-250-8539. And if you like this show and you want it to continue and would like to sponsor the show, again, give me a call at 808-250-8539. I am looking for sponsors. And if you would like some fancy hair extensions or some color or some Chinese astrology or tarot, Ben, how can people get in touch with you?
So I work at Isla James Salon in Paia. It's ISLAJAMES. And that's where I can do your hair. And then I also do palmistry, tarot, and zodiac consultation. You can reach me there at www.hairstylist.com. That's HAIRPSYLIST.
Interesting. And is there a phone number or an email that you feel comfortable giving out, or would you prefer people to...
Yeah, so you can reach me at 808-868-1223. Text preferred, as I am a busy man. All
right. Well, if you're good, you're busy. So, again, all right, we're going to be taking callers in about 3 minutes at 808-242-7800. We're going to go for a break, and we're going to listen to some Pink Floyd, Great Gig in the Sky.